This is TMI, and we are doing of the discussion segment with the proposed protest, yes, by the NLC. They are saying it is going to be a nationwide protest because of what the telecoms are planning to do. Some are saying in a way, since they've said that those living charges will start taking effect, 50%, you never can tell. Why are the ones we can't see? Maybe that's what they're protesting about. Well, all these and more will take a look at on this discussion segment. To be here in the studio, I have a clergyman, a political analyst, political affairs commentator. Join me to welcome Bishop Bright to Lumese. Bishop, thank you so much for joining us in the studio.
Good morning, Marshall. Good morning,
Okay, so very close to him. He's an entrepreneur, a politician, political analyst. Join me to welcome Honorable Paul Ogidi. Yeah, you know the other name's quite difficult. I what again?
Paul Ogido.
Ogido, IMEC, right?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning, Wilson. Good morning, viewers at home.
And it was one time a political candidate, yes, in Edo governorship election. Yeah, he's an author, a businessman, a politician, political affairs commentator. Join me to welcome Bishop Akalame. Bishop, thank you so much for calling. All right. Well, via Zoom, we have a business mogul joining us. He's also a clergyman. When he's ready, definitely good to see him on air as a person of Pastor Henry. Why quite humble when he started giving his own analysis, you get to realize the reason why I really want to hear his own opinion on this particular issue. But let me start off with a clergyman. I believe that you may have some pious notion about this. So Bishop Bright, will come to you directly. What do you feel about 150% a tariff hike, being proposed by Telecom, saying that it's high time they increased, tariff because for the power sector there's an increment and that directly affect their own service from the energy sector. But fuel, diesel, you just name it, they've increased it also for the past 10 years, over a decade. They've not increased any tariff. But this is the right time for them to do it because of so much burden just trying to maintain services for Nigerians to be happy.
Okay, thank you, Wilson. And once again, you are the increments or the increase in tariff, to the very best of my knowledge, is becoming unnecessary because consultations were not properly made. You see, although when we want to take you to history, back history, then you discover that in 2021, with the telecommunication rolled out a 1 minute call of 15 naira, a 15 naira SMS, and after 2013 it was brought down a little, and before we get to where we are now. But we know that the economy is really terrible right now for any entrepreneur and businesses. But in that level as a national service provider, you want to, I'm not faulting only the telecommunication provider, I'm also faulting the NCC. Number one, the labor NLC was not consulted. I also thought that the SO, the civil society organization should also be consulted because number one, we're talking about a contract with you, the service provider, and the consumer. As long that they are not carried along, the increment becomes insensitive because the economic hardship is being fed by everybody. And government that should have taken responsibility. Yes, I know that you have removed fuel subsidy and it's created a lot of economic hardship. Go to all the sector, there's electricity hike, there is a petrol hike, gas hike, diesel hike, everything is up. And the minimum wage is just 70,000. And the people, the Nigeria populace are heavily hungry. Now, what is wrong if you have to persuade the service provider to say, okay, we understand. Let's see how we can go in the way of maybe tax reduction or whatever, so that these people, we don't kill these people. Do you know what is called 50% hike and all of that? I knew the operator, they proposed 100%, and NCC negotiated and came to 50%. But I faulted that process. Why? Because the masses weren't carried along. The people that will make, that will pay, that will purchase. Because when I watch over the news that NLC are proposing nationwide strike, which I am 100% in support, and all of that, because number one, in a sane environment, it's assumed that everybody would have come to a negotiating table. Look at what is happening. We can no longer run. What should we do going forward? And everybody will put their heads together and all of that. Then if it's to go by the, okay, what the BDC said they did, or the power regulators did, they have band A, band B. Let people who are the elite also by way of pay for all of this.
We'll come to that aspect. Just calm down the band A, band B, band C. If they should follow that trend, well, Honorable Paul, you are a businessman aside the fact that you're a politician. I believe that in some ways you might just feel the brunt of these telcos. Do they have a point in what they are like, trying to propose 50% tariff hike?
Well, thank you, Wilson. The Nigerian situation is laughable. It's so laughable. And this boils down to insensitivity on the part of governments. And of course, those who administer governance in the entire country. The hike in the tariff of this telecom is something that should be expected. Yes, because you can see that every sector, virtually every sector, is experiencing hike, especially the petroleum sector. We buy fuel now, the pump price is now 1,000 naira per liter. Yes, the telecommunication should not be excluded because they have a running cost. But the problem is, must we pay for what we are not consuming? You and I know, Wilson, that if you recharge your phone for 200 naira to make a quick call, that will not last you as long as 2 minutes. You will spend 5 minutes on that call and you still not get your message passed across to the man or the woman on the other end. So the hike in the tariff, I call it Obubu Yaya because we are already paying for what we are not consuming. In Nigeria, we pay for what we don't consume. And the consumers are not protected. If there's going to be a hike, which I believe is okay, because these people, they are not functioning in isolation. They are also trading in the Nigerian economy. Yes, everything have gone up. They should also step up, but must it be 50%? Like they demanded for 100% increase, which a sane mind should not even talk about or dream about. I'm sure this is just another arrangement. Okay, go for 100. By the time we bargain, we come to 50. If there's going to be a hike, must it be 50%? Do you know what that means to the common man on the street? Like my friend rightly said here, minimum wage is 70,000 naira. But of course, you know that 70,000 naira is something that can't take any reasonable family, a family of 3 or 4, for 1 week in Nigeria. Everything have gone up. Now, hiking it, I'm sure, like he suggested, which I am not going to support, that maybe like they did in the electricity sector, that there should be a band A, band B, and all that. We know that in this country, a figure said it, that telephone is not for the poor. So I think that dream is coming to pass again. Thanks to our ex-president Obasanjo, who brought us this telephone we have today, the GSM we have today. I think no one was dreaming along that line because they said the poor man should not use the telephone, that it's for the rich.
Okay.
And by the time they do this, by the time they come with this tariff, I will tell you, the consumers in this sector will reduce by not less than 50%.
I'll come back.
And that will not be good for Nigerian economy.
I'll come back to you in the report. I'll come back to you. All right, Bishop Akalame, you are a seasoned author when you talk about economy. You are also a businessman and a politician. From your standpoint, or from your point of view, on the report said it's not that bad for there to be an increment because others, they've jacked up their prices from the energy sector, the power sector, the fuel pump price, diesel pump price, electricity tariff, they've all gone up just to measure up or level up the telcos. They don't have the right also to increase their own tariff. Now, what is your say about this?
Thank you, Mr. Wesi. Good morning, viewers. You see, I have a different opinion as regard to what is happening now, as regard to this hike in the charges by the telecom. I want to say that the proposed protests by the NLC, it is unnecessary. And I also want to say that what they intend doing is fighting symptoms, fighting aftermath of the inconsistent policies by our governments. Where was the NLC? Where fuel subsidy was removed? Where was NLC? Where there was harmonization on the foreign exchange rates that have landed us where we are today? You see, they ought to have fought to finish. They fought and they ran away. Now what they fought and they ran away. And what they are doing now, they are fighting symptoms. You don't tell him how he's running the business, what to charge for his product. Because if you look at it very well, okay, let's look at it. In every sector of the economy, is the one we were charging about 2 years ago that everyone is charging today? If you need the coverage now for your event, you contact any of the media house and they give you bill, and compared to what they collected 2 years ago, you begin to think. Everybody doing business have tripled the prices they used to sell to people. Their services. Go to the market. We are Nigerians. Go to the transport industry. From here to Lagos, if we have 1,000 to 1,500, you are in Lagos. But if you have up to 25,000, you cannot go to Lagos. Abuja, from here to Abuja the other time, if you want to go to Abuja with 9,000 naira, 10,000, you are there. But today, if you don't have 45,000, 30,000 naira, you cannot go. So everything has changed. So you don't expect people whose operational cost has increased not to increase their services, the price of which they charge for their services. They pay salary. Okay? Now, they run diesel. Sometimes now if you're using Airtel, you're using FTL, you're using whatever the other network, and maybe you just remain without a network for the day, you begin to cost them. What is wrong with them? They're not strong. If they're not, they should pack up. They don't want to do this. They operate based on those things you are going to expect they make. They buy diesel, they pay. And let me tell you something. Sometimes you say that my network is very slow. They need modern technology and infrastructure to operate efficiently. And those things are not being bought in Nigeria. They have to import them abroad. So because of the harmonization of our foreign exchange rate, which have made the naira, so they develop naira to depreciated. That means if they want to buy anything, they want to import any technology or any telecom infrastructure into the country, they need more naira. They need more naira to buy those things. And you know what that means? So they have even tried. That 50% that you're talking about, it is because there's a strong regulator. That's why I'm talking about 50% increase. If your SMS is 4 naira, then we're talking about 50%. That means instead of 4 naira in your SMS, they will charge you 6 naira instead of you paying 4 naira. Then if you want to make a call, per minute is 11 naira. Now you want to make that, we are talking about 16.5 naira. Is that okay? That is still fair enough compared to the price of things we see today in the market.
All right. Well, you heard Bishop, he said that it's going to come from another perspective in the sense that Nigerians or NLC, they are chasing after symptoms, right? The root cause is there. They talk about the harmonization of the naira. That's what brought us to where we are today. You know, the price range between naira and dollar. He talked about also about subsidy. That is a factor also, a core issue that we've not taken a look at, which Nigerian Labour Congress fought and they took off. They didn't finish the fight. The court about minimum wage, 7,000 naira wasn't really the benchmark they were targeting, but they had to make compromise. They have to bring it up to 70,000 naira. Now, putting all these factors together, telcos also, come on, they are being operated by humans, and they need to carry this overhead cost. Bishop, drawing a leaf from what he said, don't you think there's a little of sense in what the telcos are fighting for?
Okay, like I earlier highlighted, the issue of increments is something that will happen. This was my view. When you come to the negotiation, this is a Nigeria factor, and this has always been the case, where prices are imposed and people revolt. And the issue again is that the common man was not consulted. I happen to be in one of the committee, and one of the issues, one of the key assignments we had was to see how we can create a revenue. And the first question that came up was that, what is the revenue now, so that we can know where we are going to? They don't want us to talk about what we are having now. So you could see there is no sincerity. And I put that yesterday. I said, no, I can't be part of this. Give us the figures of what you already make, so that we could know whether it makes sense to increase or decrease, and all of that. Now, you see, I also don't agree that we have strong regulators. The NCC is porous, poor, and they're not doing their job.
But he said we have strong regulators. That's the reason we're able to bring it down to 50%.
I have my view on that, because you also, thank God you have a telephone. Today, in the morning, when you put up a first call, the thing will speak languages and take your money without call going through. And we have a regulator. You buy data, your data disappear without you using it. So there is so much the consumer are not being protected. So in other words, we in this end, the consumer will feel this 50% is an opportunity to double charge us. We already pay for these things. If you take that time, recharge your phone, and you want to follow, I called the customer care a few weeks ago. How much are you people charging us? I bought a 10,000 naira recharge card. Look at how many calls I have made, and all of that. They say they have to check my phone. Maybe my phone is running. But if my phone is running, it should run on data. I have data. It shouldn't leave my data and be taking my money, and all of that. So they didn't find answer to all of my questions. So what it shows that the regulators are maybe compromised, so to say, because they are also investors. All of these service providers, they are politicians. Find that they are also Nigerians. So the idea of the same government brought out very terrible policies that we couldn't negotiate. The NLC, they tried their best, they fought. At the time, it's almost like this country wanted to stand up. You remember the national grid was pulled off in this country. So, in other words, we didn't want to go the way of Bangladesh and destroy the whole structure. We said, okay, let's come back, let's agree, okay, let's have something to call a country.
All right.
Because people almost hijacked the whole process.
Okay.
Then going forward, the same government, any of the policies they bring, we should counter it. This telecommunication 50% is a total no-no.
Okay, if you just join us.
People need to be consulted.
All right.
Issue. It's not only the NLC. The tariff union, we are going to court. I hope you are aware.
Of course, I'm aware of that. But you just hold on right now. If you just join us, this is TMI. We're taking a look at the proposed protest by NLC over the 50% hike in tariff of telecom. As it stands right now, you can see that we have divergent views and opinions in the studio. When we return, we're going to take a look at the strength of regulators. And do you feel that this protest will yield any result? Do stay Thank you so much for staying tuned. If you just joined us, this is TMI. The discussion is still very much on. Well, Honorable Paul, you've heard what Bishop Akalame talked about. He said, really, they did well. After all, if you're a businessman, overhead costs are not the only sector that is really going through changes. He talked about the disparity in Naira and dollar. If you want to import, cutting-edge equipment to serve Nigerians better, it costs lots and lots of Naira. Knowing fully well that the dollar exchange was really playing out. He talked about also the increase in fuel price. He also highlighted the increase in electricity tariff, putting all these things together. And he said, thank God also for the NCC. They're doing a good job. But Bishop Bright says otherwise. Putting these factors together, what can you make out of it?
Well, like I said earlier, the telecom sector is not functioning in isolation. I mentioned earlier that yes, they have a right to increase because the hike in every aspect of our economy affects them as well. They have to get diesel, they have to get facilities and maintain their own facility to give us good service. But are they giving us good service? Are we enjoying their services actually? Are Nigerians getting satisfaction for the money they are paying to get these services? Like I said earlier, you recharge 500 naira, which is supposed to take you for like 10-20 minutes talk. You will end up saying nothing and your 500 naira is gone. You send an SMS, the SMS did not go through to its destination, your money is not refunded, you are charged, and your money is going, your recharge is draining. You see, the truth is, we don't have consumer protection in Nigeria. And like my friend here rightly said, those that is rendering these services, they are equally politicians. Yeah. They have the power to do the regulation. They are the ones to gain it. They are the ones to take all the profit. In fact, they say, let the poor breathe. The poor soon will no longer breathe, honestly. Okay, now, is there any assurance that if we pay this 50% increase they are talking about, that we are going to get better service? Of course, there is no guarantee. You and I know that we give them this 50%, we pay quietly because Nigerians can pay for anything. Whether you use it or not, nobody, you protest, the government will tell you go and protest. After all the protests, you come back and we will do what we want to do. We are in fact, we're in a sorry situation in this country. Nobody cares about the poor. Nobody cares. If the rich can make the telephone their own and solely their own, that makes them enjoy their life better. And of course, we know very, very well the energy that the telecom projected into the national economy. There are so many businesses that ought not to be afloat today, if not for telecom. And by the time you hike it, the poor woman in the village who have a son in the city can now talk to their children conveniently without the stress of traveling down to go and check on them. Now, by the time you hike it, from the way we are going, we may not be able to see that anymore. And it's going to bring a lot of problems. But if we are sure that by the time we pay this money, they get this hike, and the services will improve, then Nigerians will be happy to do it. Look at the electricity. The hike in it, does it translate into better service? No. What does BEDC do? I want to depict on BEDC because that's the one we have here. They look at the days. Once it's 26, 27, they bring you light for like 5 hours a day, 3-4 hours in a day. And in 3 days' time, they are coming with their ladders to come and start. Today, we still don't have prepaid meters going around the people. People are still paying estimated bills. And the government is there watching. Where does that happen? All right. Except in Nigeria.
All right, I'll come back to you.
So they are here to destroy and kill the poor. That's what they are doing. Honestly.
Destroy and kill the poor.
Yes, yes.
Okay, I'll come back to you. Now, joining us virtually from Benin City is Henry. Yeah, Pastor Henry, thank you so much for making our time to join us. I believe been following the discussion and been listening to what they are saying part time. Now, what do you have to say about what we've been talking thus far? Can you hear me?
Good morning, viewers. Good morning, Wilson.
Good morning. So
And
what's
good
your
morning.
take on the discussion
Yes,
so
I can
far?
hear you very well. Good morning, Mr. Wilson. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning, the other in the studio. I want to throw the line of Bishop. I want to make my contribution as an entrepreneur, as an investor. It is in that light I want to make my contribution this morning. First, I want to say that the proposed strike by NLC is a waste of effort, misplaced priority, and it's a time to actually waste the time of Nigerians. The strike is uncalled for because there's no justification for it. Why do I say so? You find out at the time GSM came, what was the price of a bag of rice? What is the price of a bag of rice today? Why did NLC not strike over that? What was the price of a loaf of bread at the time GSM came? And what is the price of a loaf of bread? Of these products are a function of their production cost. That is why rice has gone up, bread has gone up, beverage has gone up, noodles have gone up, because the man has factored in his production cost. Every man that goes into business first to satisfy his customer, then secondly to make good return on his investment. I think that is the reason for establishing the businesses. If you find out the cost of fund, they have to factor in the cost of fund. Remember that most of these businesses are established on borrowed fund. Then you look at the cost of fund for running these businesses. Then two, we are talking about not even having good services provided. Then you will not ask ourselves why. One of the reasons could just be that these people, they don't have enough money to be able to get the required equipment to give us the best of service. They run, if you drive around town, for every place you have a mast, you have a generator. For every place you have a mast and a generator, and you are going to buy diesel to power that generator so that this mast will work for you to have service. GSM business is not for charity. They are not here to run it for charity. I believe that even the 50%, like one of the discussants said there, is because of government intervention. And providing, if you can't have it, if you can't have it, then you let it go. That is, it's just as simple as that. So for us to say the man that has his business, that you would dictate to the man how he will run his business, I don't think it's proper. Because the man has factored in his production cost, and he knows this is what I will make at the end of the day. I think that is just my contribution. The proposed strike is a waste of time, it's uncalled for, and it's a misplaced priority.
All right, thank you so much, Ariam Okai. Henry, well, we heard his opinions and views. He said he's speaking from the angle of an entrepreneur. But don't tell a business owner how he or she should run his or her business. After all, if you cannot afford it, you let it go. Is that where we are driving towards right now, Bishop Akaleme? If that's what we're driving towards, now what is the hope of the common man?
There's hope for the common man. What is that hope? Is that we must learn how to be united of common purpose. We're not united. You see, if you look at the bane of our problem, abolition, we all know where the problems are coming from. During an election campaign, you will have various candidates contesting election with different policies. Electorates the poor people you talk about, they don't listen to the manifestos of these people. Their mindset is how to grab something before I can cast my vote to any of my candidates. And at this corruption from the grassroots is what has brought us to where we are today. That's why I say we must be united on common purpose. It is not who can give us money during an election that we should vote for. We should vote for people who have something to bring to the table. People who have the mental capacity to drive the economy. Let me tell you something. If we are united in common purpose and we vote en masse, it will be very difficult for anybody to rig such election. It is because we don't vote, we are not united. That is why we just give small share of our vote to a candidate. They will now look at the other portion to add to it and rig the election, and you have a bad leader that will be leading us. Let me tell you something. Like I told you just now, the services these people are providing, it's not luxury. Okay? It's a necessity. The telecom services keep us with our family, keep us and with our family and friends together. Sometimes you want to travel to Lagos to go and see your relatives, but you cannot go because of transportation. But you can take your call and find out how they are doing. Your family too. Your business. You reach out to your customers, your prospective customers, on the growth of your business. So you cannot see that despite all the challenges, that the telecom contribute a larger proportion of percentage of our GDP. In the 2024, they contribute about 60% of our GDP. So if you look at it, they are still here. They are still here. So these are people, maybe I told you, I said, we need knowledge to really do whatever we want to do. Because if we begin to operate like this, it will look as if we don't really know what we are doing. These people you are seeing here, they are operating to maximize profits. Even when you want to serve the people, and second, you want to maximize profits. Now, if you are doing the business, you are breaking even. It's even better you just pack out, because when you will not get the money to run the business and pay salaries. Okay? Now, if you check it very well, what they have just done, and my friend said they have collected the money already.
From behind, yeah.
You cannot achieve perfection anywhere. Nobody's perfect. It's only God that's perfect. In any of the sector, we cannot achieve perfection. Sometimes you drive to the filling station, you say you want to buy 50 liters, you end up having 30 liters in your tank. It's everywhere in all sectors. Sometimes you want to go and buy something. In fact, Nigeria, we have a fundamental problems. So we cannot just bring everything together and say we want to blame the service provider for adding 50% to what they are doing. They are evil. Let me tell you something. They are benevolent enough.
Benevolent enough?
Yes, to have even leave it for 50%. Considering what is happening today in the country.
But hold on up. You know that in Africa, if you take a look at the way telecoms are operating in Nigeria, they're like in top place of collecting money from consumers. Do you know that?
No,
if you go to South Africa, the price is lesser than what you're having right now in Nigeria, and you're talking about increments.
We're not in South Africa. We are in Nigeria.
But we're in Africa.
We are in Nigeria.
And we're in the global community.
And let me tell you something.
What makes South Africa better than us?
What makes the South Africa better than us is that we take everything we see from the government. The problem we're having now is the policies. We should fight policies. What we are fighting symptoms. You don't tell me now policies have come that will increase the price of what I'm selling. You say I should not increase it. When you have refused to fight the government, you are fighting me. That is why so many companies today, they have led this country. People cannot sustain their production, cannot sustain their services because they want to. Because some companies feel that if they increase, those who are dealing with luxury, they have already gone. They've left the country. Then those who remain are people who are dealing with necessities. Okay, no matter what, people will still buy from because they need this thing on a daily basis.
All right.
So if you don't want it to go, if these people they pack out, they go, you see that every sector will collapse. Okay, it's not all about you come, let us discuss, negotiate. You don't negotiate price of people who are running costs.
I'll come back to you. Well, Bishop, you've heard them. They are speaking from their own perspective as an entrepreneur, as a businessman, talking about breaking even. Really, he made a point that some companies have left Nigeria because of overhead costs. Take a look at it from that angle. Do you think these guys, they are right in a way?
Yeah, it seems let's balance and get this clear.
Please do bring the balance.
The balance here is that we are saying that the economy is bad, increment can be there, but we also strongly oppose, and this is a recurring situation in Nigeria, where decisions want to be made, the masses are left behind. I found that every time decisions are made, masses representative, and like I also said that the civil society organization would have been carried along. It's just a common way of making people feel belong in the decision that govern them and all of that. That's also affect our election. It seems that the people are not given the free will to select, to elect who wants to govern them. It's the same thing that I apply. That's my argument. Lastly, this is the breakdown. Government has implemented certain policies that have brought hardship to the country. And government now resort to what they call palliative. Government takes away the subsidy to subsidize the general majority of the country and begin to take the money and give to governors and give to political leaders. They call it palliative. That's the kind of funny country we are. Now, that's where the protest is necessary. It's not strike. It's protest.
It's protest.
It's protest to call government attention to this increment as the aftermath of the kind of policy they have implemented. That what we prefer as Nigeria, those palliative should be used to cushion the effect. This is the suggestion. That's why I say people's opinion should have been taken. Number one, the cost of running these telecommunications is becoming, just like Bishop Akalame said, go to many of these mass, you see generator running. Why? I just came into the country a few days ago. Go to most of all these facilities, you don't see all this kind of rubbish there and all of that. What happened to solar facility? Government give them facility, give them loans, upgrade these facilities so that cost of running them will reduce. Instead of giving this money to God, we only hear that trucks of trailers are coming to a state of rise. We don't see them. I don't know, maybe we don't see them.
I've not seen one.
So
I've not seen any. So don't bring me to the picture.
I'm here
Don't
to see
bring me
one.
to this. I've not seen one.
The frustration is that we heard that CLNG buses are coming. I've never seen one. Only God knows whether they are running in the midnight. That's when I don't come out. So the issue is really, that's why we said this protest is important. This protest naturally, but what I suggested in the platform, that is not to ricket the telecommunication companies. Yeah. No, it's to call government attention. The policy we told you earlier that you say you were going to manage, look at the effect it's creating and all of that. This effect is almost justified. But now, the same called palliative you are carrying, giving to big men to go hide in various places, people now begin to go loot the places, channel into this place.
All right.
Give it to them as low, let them upgrade those facilities.
All right.
So that we can have low costs of running this. They are business people, we also know that.
All right. Well, Pastor Henry I made a comment saying that the protest or the strike, though it's a protest, is a protest in futility, that nothing can come out of it. Now, do you share his view?
Yes, 100%. 100%. We have seen a lot of protests. We have seen strikes. We've seen boycotts. No one has really brought about any meaningful change. And you cannot take the fact away that people should protest. Yes, if it is protest, okay, it's the only way we can register our grievances and let the government know that what is going on, we are not in tandem with it. But when you talk about strike, that goes a long way to further impoverish the citizens of Nigeria. In most cases, it crumbles down businesses that may never be revamped anymore. So I'm against strike, I'm against boycott, but I support protests. Let the grievances of the citizens of Nigeria be registered. We know that government will not listen, because we don't have a listening government, is the truth. You protest whatever, even when you give your suggestions, nobody's going to listen to you. But we will not stop talking, we will not stop protesting. Yes, it's the right of Nigerians to protest. But let me come to the area of they have a right to increase. Yes, I also support that they have a right to increase because, like I said, they are not functioning in isolation. But the truth is, does the increase in all these areas, not just telecommunication alone, does the increase translate into better service? If the answer is yes, then it's right. But if the answer is no, then why? Then why? Because at the end of the day, they take this money, you pay, we pay trouble and nose for everything. Today, the cost of renewing your vehicle particulars, I'm sure most of you knows that, has increased with over 200%. Yet, the roads we drive in are deteriorating every minute. No good roads. Your vehicles get battered anytime you go on a journey like Benin to Lagos. You are going to go and service your vehicle.
All right.
Yet nothing is happening.
Okay, well, right now...
We are paying for what we are not consuming, and it's so appalling.
Right now, I want to go. All right, right now, I want to go for. But when we return, the next question will be for Pastor Henry. Now, if there must be an increment, must it be 50%? That'll be the next question after this break. It's getting really interesting in the studio because we really need to hear from both parties, so to speak. One representing the masses, others representing entrepreneurs. Yes, there must be a balance. They are complaining about cost of production, complaining about increment in the fuel pump price, increment in electricity tariff. You just name it. Even the food in the market, they've increased. House rent gone up. And they are saying for the past 10 years, we've not done any form of increment. Right now, want to do it, and you guys are crying. What's got to give? There must be a way to break even. Right now, let's move straight to Pastor Henry, where he's standing by. Well, if you feel that the increment is justified and the protests will have no effect, are they on the right track by saying that they're going to increase it by 50%? Is it not too much for Nigerians to bear?
Yeah, Mr. Wilson. Mr. Wilson, don't know if you can hear me at the other end.
Track to increase the prices,
the 50%,
but increasing it by 50%, is that not too much of a burden for Nigerians to bear?
Mr. Wilson, if you have the privilege of being at that meeting, if you have had the privilege of being at that meeting, you will agree with me that the representative of the people, which is the government, on these investors to accept 50%. Left with investors, I know they won't be comfortable with 50%. If they are comfortable with 50%, it therefore goes to say that all the while they have been shortchanging Nigerians. 10 years ago, the same rate we have been paying for services 10 years ago is what we are still paying today. And I just say we want to adjust. If they are comfortable with 50%, it will go to see that all the while that they have been profiteering. But I wasn't at that meeting, but I can tell you as an entrepreneur that the government prevailed on them for them to accept 50%. It wasn't as if 50% was good enough for them to go. If you put all the parameters before you and look at all the indices, you will agree with me that 50% increment will not meet up what they actually need. It will not meet up. I am speaking the way I'm speaking now because I am deeply involved in production and I know what it takes. Somebody made allusion to South Africa, but I'm able to say in South Africa, you find out in South Africa, what is the cost? What is the cost of power? In other climes, what is the cost of power? In South Africa, for instance, you have your generator as a backup on the event that there is no public source. But in Nigeria, you have your generator as your main source of power. And on the event that public supply comes, then you can make of it. That's what happened in Nigeria. Then you find out what is the cost of doing business in Nigeria and in other climes. For those of us that are into business, we know the economic tax that we go through in getting our business running. So you agree with me that the 50%, I think, is if they accepted, if network providers have accepted the 50%. I want to believe that they just accepted it because there was so much pressure on them, because everybody is talking about the hardship in town, forgetting that this man that is providing this service still live within the same environment that we're talking about, the hardship in town. It is hard, granted. There's no doubt about that. But it is, as they say in our local parlance, as the head is heavy for the ant, the same way the head is heavy for the elephant. I rest my case.
Wow, interesting. Quite interesting, as the head is heavy for the ant, same way also the head is heavy for an elephant. Well, Bishop Akalame, now does it not mean that with this particular increment, because from what he said, is beginning to opine that somehow maybe the telecoms were like twisted to a 70% hike, because to them they want to go full blast 100%. Does it not mean that Nigerians will have to learn how to bear the cost?
Well, we have to bear the brunt, embrace it, and move on. That is where we find ourselves. So we cannot change what we do not cost. Okay, so this emanated from the policies, the policies by the government. So since the NLC didn't fight those policies, there's no need for them to come out on the 4th to protest. That protest will disrupt our economy. The economy is weak already. We don't need anything that will disrupt it. They should go to their offices and go back to their normal businesses. We don't need protests. We don't need, because many Nigerians are frustrated right now. They're looking for opportunity
to vent their anger,
steal from people, rob. We don't need that. We need peace in this country. When they're supposed to be out to fight, they didn't come out. We don't need that now. They should go back to their offices so that we can go back to our normal businesses.
All right, Bishop, you're going to have the last line on this discussion, because I will link up to Abuja Network Center. What advice do you have for Nigerians, NLC, and of course the telcos, briefly?
Nigerians, keep the faith, keep pressing on government to do the right thing. Protest, I support. NLC, best. We were here when Ajero was beating black and blue, and that's the struggle. So we can't sit there that NLC is not doing anything. NLC, we're trying your best, keep pushing, so that we have very stubborn people, cartel, that have jacked governors who will win one day if we don't stop fighting.
No, we'll win one day.
We will never win.
All right.
So I want to also insist that in this protest we must demand that the telecommunication provider must sit with the people and convince the people that this 50% is justified.
Thank you. Well, on the report, protest or no protest, briefly.
Protest allowed, strike no.
Strike no.
Yeah.
Bishop Akalame.
We don't need any of them. We should go back to their offices.
All right. Thank you.
Stop fighting symptoms.
Thank you. I would have loved to hear from Pastor Henry, but Pastor Henry, are you saying I should go for protest briefly?
His position is clear.
No protest, no strike. At the end of the day, it is you and I that will suffer the effect of the protest. So protest is a no, strike is a no.
Thank you so much. Well, you've heard them. 2 for, 2 against. Should we keep enduring this? Only time will tell. We'll keep you informed of what is really going on.